When you hear the name Bob Marley, what comes to mind? Dreadlocks, infectious reggae rhythms, and powerful lyrics championing freedom and unity. In this great future, you can't forget your past, so dry your tears. But beyond the iconic image and timeless songs lies a story that's lesser known. A tale of a man shaped by diverse influences, a spiritual seeker, and an unexpected football fanatic. This is Bob Marley, the legend you thought you knew. Was he just a musical icon, or was there more to the man behind the music? Join us as we uncover the untold chapters of his life and explore the deeper layers that forge the legend we know today. Early life. All right, let's take it back. Way back. Before the fame, before the dreadlocks, before the world even knew his name. Bob Marley was just a kid, born in a small Jamaican town called 9 Mile. February 6th, 1945. This is where it all began. His mom, Sadella, was young, barely 17, full of dreams, and the strength to handle whatever came her way. His dad? Norval Marley, a much older man, a white Jamaican with English roots and a captain's title in the Royal Marines. Sounds impressive, right? But the reality was different. Norval was barely around. He offered some financial help, but was mostly a shadow, just a name. Sadella was left to raise Bob on her own, figuring things out, doing her best in a world that wasn't exactly built for single mothers. But Bob wasn't without a guide. His grandfather, Omariah Malcolm, stepped in. Omariah was like a rock. He was respected, wise, deeply connected to his roots, and proud of it. From him, Bob learned the importance of knowing who you are and where you come from. These weren't just lessons. They were the roots that would one day fuel his music, his message, his identity. And as he got older, Bob's spiritual path took him somewhere unique. He found himself drawn to Rastafari, a way of life that wasn't about fitting in, but standing out, staying true, living close to nature. The dreadlocks, the herb, the connection to Africa, this was where Bob found his truth, his calling. From 9 Mile to Trenchtown. By the time he was 12, Bob's world shifted again. Sadella packed up their life in 9 Mile and took him to Kingston, Jamaica's beating heart. They ended up in Trenchtown, a place known for its hard streets, poverty, and hustle. Trenchtown was raw. For a mixed-race kid like Bob, it was even tougher. His lighter skin set him apart, made him a target. People questioned him, challenged him, but he didn't back down. Instead, he doubled down. Bob knew who he was, a proud black Jamaican, no questions asked. His beliefs in Rastafari only deepened that connection to his roots. Life in Trenchtown was no easy ride, but it toughened him up, gave him grit. People started calling him Tough Gong. This wasn't just a nickname, it was a badge, a reminder of the resilience he was forced to build. And those streets? They'd be the backdrop to his music, inspiring lyrics that spoke to struggle, to pain, to the real lives people were living. Family friction and the birth of music. But even in Trenchtown, life threw more twists his way. Sadella found work with a man named Thaddius Livingston, and soon work turned to romance. She moved them into Thaddius's house, but there was a catch. Thaddius had another family. Things got complicated fast. Eventually, Sadella decided it was time for a real fresh start and set her sights on Wilmington, Delaware in the United States, where she had family. She left with Pearl, her daughter with Thaddius, but Bob stayed behind, waiting on promises that he'd join them soon. But soon stretched longer than expected. The paperwork dragged on, and suddenly Bob was alone in Trenchtown. No mom, no close family, just Trenchtown and all its grit. And to top it off, he didn't get along with Thaddius's wife, making home life even harder. But through it all, Bob had one constant: music. He bonded with Thaddius's son Neville over melodies and rhythms. They weren't just friends, they were musical partners. And when they crossed paths with Peter Tosh, everything fell into place. They formed a group that went through names like the Teenagers and the Wailing Rude Boys before they finally settled on the Wailers, and this was more than a band, a chance encounter. Sometimes, it's the people you least expect who end up changing your life. For Bob and the Wailers, that person was Joe Higgs. Higgs was a musician with experience, someone who'd made a name for himself locally. But he wasn't just about fame. He saw something in the Wailers and took them under his wing, not just as a teacher but as a mentor. He taught them discipline, showed them the ropes, pushed them to be better. But Higgs wasn't about to go easy on them. Stage fright? He had a cure for that, performing in a cemetery. Yes, you heard that right. Higgs believed that if they could face the dead in the middle of the night, they could face anyone. So that's exactly what they did. They'd sing to the silence, to the shadows, until fear was a thing of the past. It sounds wild, but it worked. Then came another turning point. Bob was working as an apprentice welder, just getting by when he met Desmond Decker. Decker saw something in him, a raw talent that couldn't be ignored. When Decker landed an audition with Beverly's Records, he insisted Bob come along. And at just 16, Bob recorded his first song, Judge Not. This wasn't just any song. It was a reflection of everything he'd lived, everything he felt. And for the first time, people began to take notice. Desmond's belief in Bob opened doors he hadn't even known were there. This was it, the beginning of Bob Marley's journey, Rastafarianism and Ganja. Bob Marley's journey with Rastafarianism wasn't just about belief. It was about identity, purpose, and connection. And for Bob, cannabis, ganja, was sacred. This wasn't some casual habit. For Rastafarians like Bob, ganja was a tool, a doorway to the soul, a means of connecting with Jah, the divine spirit. Smoking ganja was a ritual to calm the mind, look within, and uncover truths that otherwise stayed hidden. To outsiders, this might have looked like rebellion. But to Bob, it was spirituality, introspection, growth. Cannabis helped him meditate, find clarity, and stay true to the principles of Rastafari. He believed that if you approached it with respect, ganja could reveal secrets of the mind, spark self-awareness, and help you connect with Jah in a way that went beyond words. But living openly with these beliefs came with challenges. In 1968, Bob was arrested for possession. Yet even then, he didn't back down or hide his faith. He saw it as a test, a reminder to stay true to himself. Bob kept smoking, not out of defiance, but as a way to grow spiritually, connect with his roots, and strengthen his bond with Jah. For Bob, Ethiopian Emperor Haile Selassie wasn't just a leader. He was a messianic figure, a living sign of hope and unity. Coxsone Dodd. In the heart of Jamaican music, Studio One was a kingdom, and Coxsone Dodd was its king. Getting the Wailers through those studio doors was a breakthrough. Dodd saw their potential, knew they had something special. He taught them discipline, showing them what it took to make it. Here, Bob and the Wailers worked alongside some of Jamaica's most celebrated musicians. But fame didn't equal fortune. Dodd kept a large slice of the profits, leaving the Wailers with only a few pounds a week. Recognition was mostly local, but that was enough, for now. For the Wailers, the journey had just begun. Soulmates. In the middle of all the music and hustle, Bob's life took a personal turn. He met Rita Anderson, a young singer with dreams as big as his. She auditioned for a group called the Soulmates, and their connection was instant. Bob was shy at first, but soon enough, they were inseparable. At 21, he married Rita, who already had a young daughter named Sharon. Together, they built a family, with Bob adopting Sharon as his own and having 3 more children with Rita. But supporting a family on his income as a musician was tough, so he made the difficult choice to go to Delaware, seeking work in America. Rita, a rock in his life, stayed in Jamaica, holding everything together while he was away. Homesick life in America showed Bob a world outside Jamaica. He witnessed the struggles of Black Americans and the civil rights movement. It struck a chord. Black people, no matter where, were fighting the same battles. But Bob missed home, missed the rhythms and spirit of Jamaica. He took jobs wherever he could, factories, hotels, even using an alias, Bob Marley. But these weren't long-term solutions, just ways to get by. Eventually, his longing for home became too much. He returned to Jamaica, ready to take on whatever challenges lay ahead, both in music and in life. Musical metamorphosis. Back in Jamaica, Bob was ready to take charge. He and the Wailers split from Dodd, starting their own label, Wail and Soul, and releasing Bend Down Low. The song was a local hit, but without industry connections, they struggled to get airplay. Wail and Soul faced setbacks and eventually closed in 1967. But a new door opened with producer Lee "Scratch" Perry. Perry encouraged Bob to dig deeper, moving from ska to a reggae sound that spoke directly to the people. Their collaboration would lay the foundation for the global reach of Marley's music. Catch a Fire. In 1973, Bob and the Wailers signed with Island Records, releasing Catch a Fire. The album, packaged to look like a Zippo lighter, wasn't just reggae, it was revolutionary. The music caught on slowly but gained momentum. Later that year, Burnin introduced I Shot the Sheriff, a track that soared in popularity after Eric Clapton's cover. Suddenly, Bob Marley and the Wailers weren't just a Jamaican band, they were on the world stage, spreading reggae and the message of unity far and wide. Courage under fire with fame came danger. In 1976, political tensions in Jamaica reached a boiling point, and Bob offered to play a concert for peace. Days before, gunmen stormed his home, wounding him and his wife Rita. But Bob didn't back down. With a bullet still lodged in his arm, he took the stage, performing in front of 80,000 people. His courage was legendary, his message unstoppable. Path of assassination. After the attack, Bob moved to London, using the distance to heal and to create. This was a period of intense creativity, channeling his pain and confusion into music. But he was still drawn back to Jamaica. His people needed him, and he couldn't stay away. This would be a recurring theme. No matter where he went, his roots always pulled him home. The battle with cancer. During a football game in 1975, Bob injured his toe, a small incident that would later turn into something devastating. The injury turned out to be cancerous, a rare and aggressive form. Doctors recommended amputation, but Bob refused, trusting in his faith and natural healing. Even as the cancer spread, he continued to perform, never letting illness hold him back. But by 1980, the cancer had advanced, and he knew his time was limited. The funeral. On May 11, 1981, at just 36 years old, Bob Marley passed away. Jamaica mourned its hero, and his funeral became a blend of Ethiopian Orthodox and Rastafarian traditions. Thousands gathered, paying respects to the man who had given them so much. Bob was buried with his guitar, a Bible, and a stalk of ganja, a fitting tribute to a life dedicated to music, faith, and freedom. He had not only inspired a generation, but had also represented resilience, unity, and a fierce pride in his heritage. His final resting place in 9 Mile, the village where his journey began, was chosen to symbolize his unbreakable connection to his roots. Marley's funeral was more than just a ceremony. It was a powerful reminder of his impact on people worldwide. His wife, Rita, his children and fans sang songs of peace and freedom, celebrating the life of a man who spoke for the voiceless and stood for unity, even when it meant risking his life. Africa, the spiritual home. For Bob Marley, Africa wasn't just an ancestral link. It was a spiritual calling and a beacon of unity. His music was heavily inspired by his deep-seated connection to Africa and its people, whom he saw as part of his extended family. Marley held Africa in high regard, especially Ethiopia, which Rastafarians revere as a promised land. He dreamt of eventually living there, creating a sanctuary for his family in the land he saw as spiritually significant. Though he never fulfilled this dream in life, his wife Rita later traveled to Ethiopia, leaving a portion of Marley's dreadlocks as a tribute, embodying his unbreakable bond with the continent. Marley's commitment to Africa was unwavering. In 1980, he performed at Zimbabwe's Independence Day celebration, an event he called one of the greatest honors of his life. This performance was not just a concert, but a powerful statement of solidarity with the liberation movement across Africa. Marley's dedication to African unity and independence was a driving force behind his music, and he saw reggae as a means to spread this message. His foresight also included a vision in which he received a significant ring as a reward for his work. Remarkably, this vision became a reality when Haile Selassie's son, Prince Asfa Wasson, gifted him a ring that had once belonged to the emperor. Marley wore it proudly, seeing it as a sign of his connection to Africa. Through his music, Marley became a symbol of Pan-African unity and pride, embodying the struggles, hopes, and dreams of millions. His songs of freedom, resistance, and spiritual awakening continue to resonate, connecting people worldwide to the spirit of Africa. Marley's legacy, deeply intertwined with his love for the continent, remains a guiding light for those seeking unity, justice, and connection to their roots. We hope this video has given you a glimpse into the incredible life and legacy of Bob Marley. If you enjoyed it, please like and subscribe for more content like this.